Hello, my name is Michael Ramos, and I have been in the real estate world for, well, my entire life. My family and I have done it all and seen more from real estate sales, construction, and property inspections. And in all this time, what fascinates me the most about this industry are the people and how they changed their dreams into realty success.
This program is brought to you by City Home Inspectors, your one-stop shop for all your home inspection needs.
All right, hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of From Dreams to Realty Success, where we share inspiring stories of the top achievers in the real estate industry. Today we have Maggie Martinez.
Hi, Michael. Super excited
Hey Maggie,
to be
thanks
here
for coming in.
today.
Thank you. No, that means a lot for sure. I like to have everybody in here. I love the real estate industry, so like whenever I get to learn more about you guys, it's super exciting for me.
Yes.
So yeah. Maggie is a past realtor turned mortgage broker. She quickly rose to the top, becoming the branch manager at Guaranteed Rate in Forest Park. She's only been licensed for 3 years. She's known throughout other organizations such as NAREP and a lot of the seminars and webinars that she does online, as well as visiting offices. I think I actually first met you at a seminar at Realty Chicago.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how we all run into each other. It's a super small world, but it's big as well, you know. And then so again, thank you so much for coming in. It's really great to kind of get to know more about everybody in the industry and everything like that. So I'm gonna just kind of jump right into it. I was looking at your bio a little bit on social media and kind of like, checking up on you. I know we're friends on Facebook, and I saw the other day you posted that you were NAREP's top 250. Can you tell us what that means?
Yes. So the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals puts a list together every year of the top Latino mortgage originators and the top real estate professionals. So it's a list that comes out every year. I know that at least a handful of us in the community, we're always excited to see who's in the top, more so than anything because, there's pride in that, right? That our people are being well represented and recognized not only in the local, but at a national level. So when I first started in the real estate industry, altogether, I remember, seeing this list and seeing folks on this list and just thinking like, oh my God, how an amazing achievement could it be to be part of it, right? And I think that as I started my mortgage career and I dove into it, I was just focused on helping families and getting better and perfecting my craft. So it's kind of one of those things that when you when you look up and you lift your gaze and you realize that you're being recognized amongst the best, it's super, super flattering, especially where your name is amongst folks that are doing like amazing things or have been in the industry for so long and they just been had a staple for, in the mortgage industry, at least in my community. And to see that I'm there with them on that list, it's an awesome feeling. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I actually have had a couple people from NAREP in my podcast. I had Luisa Martinez, and I actually just recorded with Guillermo Chavez. So there was like a lot of people come from there, and I always ask like the same question because I've been in a couple of the NAREP events, Lake County and the Chicago event and everything like that. Can you tell us like what are some of the benefits you receive when aligning yourself with NAREP?
You know what? It definitely came from a place of humbleness for me. NAREP is one of the largest Latino non-for-profit real estate organizations in the nation. And again, right, same thing. When I first started, I would go to the events. I would see the board of directors, and I would always think like, man, how amazing would it be to be in a platform where, you're in a table and you're able to make a decision of how you can impact your community, right? So NAREP, this year is the first year I served, actually that I've served, period, but that I served in the board of directors. I got introduced to NAREP by our current president, Ernesto, and it's been it's been a very amazing experience in the sense that not only am I learning how a non-for-profit works, how being part of a board of directors, director committee works, but it's also been great to be able to share my thoughts, my ideas, my suggestions of some of the topics or even some of the people, right, that I think are relevant and important enough for a community to showcase in front of our community. So for me, it's been just super humbling, and it's been an opportunity to try to indirectly, right, through what I feel is a need in our real estate community, um, indirectly be able to put this in front of all of you guys, right? We host NARA. We have a total of 4 official, like, major events that we host throughout the year. 2 of these events are heavy on education, and it's just been a great experience to be able to share that with everyone else. So yeah, NARP is amazing. They've done a lot of things for me in the short time I've been involved. So
Yeah, I know that every time I go, and I even just go like just to have a speech, or I just go just to attend. There's always a pool of knowledge. There's so many different people. Every time I go, I meet somebody new, and then
yeah,
they end up sticking around for a while. You know, you end up like working with them personally. So yeah, NARP is great. I would recommend anybody go check them out.
yeah,
You
no, for
know,
sure.
go to those events and just see who's amongst that crowd. It's a great crowd to be a part of for sure.
Oh my God, yes, because and I was answering this question for someone else just a few days ago that within the mission statement is networking, right? But like, what does networking mean? I know networking is normally like, oh, yay, party time, chit chat time. But it, you're always going to get out of situations what you put into them yourself and the intentions that you go in with them. And not that there's nothing wrong with having a good time and relaxing, because God knows we need that in this industry. But it's always good, for whether you're a realtor, a loan officer, you're in the inspection world, you might have people that you look up to that might be on the field a competitor, right? But when you're in a space where we're all just Latinos trying to make a difference for the Hispanic homeownership pool, and you run into that person that you admire from afar, maybe just because you just haven't had the chance to get close, it's an amazing opportunity to make those connections. One of the stories for myself is there's this awesome rock star, and you'll find her on the top of the list of the NARAP 250 originators. Her name is Lizzie Hofer, and she is the number one Latino female loan officer. And she is the number one Latino loan officer, loan originator, female loan originator in the nation.
Hmm.
So, in one of our previous national events, I was completely starstruck because I was sitting literally next to her. And when I realized that who she was, because of course I had only been stalking her on YouTube, it was just such an awesome moment, right? Because to turn around and just to see her there in the flesh, and just realizing it was also an empowering moment for me, because just realizing that she's no different than I am, right? And she's sitting there in the same room, hearing the same lecture, asking the same questions I want to ask. And it just made me feel I was I was able to relate to her. And by that, I was able to believe that, like, hey, if she can do it, I can do it,
Me too.
right? So she just kind of like made me set my own bar a lot high. Just being in the same space. Of course, I went up to her and I talked to her and I asked her, if I can connect with her and learn from her, which was a great humbling moment for me. But just like I had my moment, I know there's a lot of amazing talent in our locally, and to be able to be in a space where you run into somebody that you admire and be able to shake hands. I mean, come on. Have you ever met someone that's so good at what they do that you're like, they're not even going to take my phone call, right? But
Yep.
then to just be able to be there in the hall with them or on the same, session, it's just pretty cool. So I feel like that's for me, that's what networking is in these events. So yeah.
Yeah. So just have a few people. You got to learn something while you're there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, cool. So that kind of gets into. So I kind of want to go back in time a little bit and I was kind of wanted to know what was the transition from real estate to mortgage lending. What, why, and what was the reason for that?
You know, when I first got into real estate, I didn't do real estate for too long either. I did it for a little bit less than 3 years. When it really came close to family, right? Right. So, I was working with a financial institution, and I have two kids. My daughter, who now she's 13, my son, who is now 7. But at the time, I only had my daughter, and I was just starting a new relationship with my husband now. Um, and I recognized that, the whole 9 to 5 thing, right? Like, I was not even 9 to 5, it was like 8 to 6. And I didn't have a lot of flexibility to do any of the things moms want to do with their kids and being part of their lives, and, being able to be part of their, curriculum activities and all of that stuff. And while I was solidifying my new relationship, um, having another kid came into play. And I just, in my mind, I wanted to be able to offer more of me to my children. And if I was going to deprive them of my time, I wanted it to be well worth it. So I just decided to dive into entrepreneurship. My first actual business that I established was I opened up a logistic company, and I purchased a few box trucks. And I was kind of maneuvering that, which, like, the money was great. The stress levels are insane, and all of my employees were guys. So it was fun. It was very lucrative. But while I was doing that, I got my real estate license, just because why not? Like, just have it under my belt and see where that kind of went. It was like the backup of a backup plan. And as I got more involved in the logistic business, I realized that I didn't really have a passion for it, even though the financial side of it was, again, very lucrative. But it just, there was no passion in it. I was doing it for the money. And I've always said that if you chase the money, you're always going to crash and burn, right? And I felt like that. I felt pretty miserable. When you don't have a passion, you can't see too far ahead, right? You're just kind of doing it to do it and to make sure that you get a paycheck. So I started, like, dipping my toe into real estate, and I did that very part time. Um, because I don't know, part of me was hoping that the logistic business would grow on me, just because I had established it already. Eventually I let that go, and I focused on real estate completely, I would say, for about a year. And in real estate, while I was in real estate, my first year, it went well. It went really well. I built up a pipeline pretty quickly. I was busy fairly quick. I was young. I think that during the time that I was doing real estate, at least within my immediate circle, which is why now I appreciate NARAP so much, it didn't click on me to build a team. I drowned myself with work. I'm sure that if I would have known to ask the right questions, I probably would have received mentorship from my immediate, folks that, were guiding me at the time. But I think I just didn't know how to ask. And I let it overwhelm me, which I see it happen. It happens to a lot of us in this business. And I did get a little bit of guidance and support from a very close friend who was encouraged me to jump over to the lending side. And, like, his thing was always like, dude, you're going to crush it. You're crushing it on this end, come try it. And I think that, like, just having that warm, fuzzy feeling that someone's going to walk you through something kind of felt good to me. And I decided to just go for it. I was like, you know what? I'm in the financial background already. It's an itch I have to scratch now. And worst comes to worst, if I don't like it, I can always go back to real estate. I know real estate will always welcome me back. But let's see what happens, right? And I will say this, I did get into lending thinking that it was going to be more like work-life balance and all of this stuff. And I realized that lending is a whole monster on its own. It asked of me completely different skill sets, and commitment and follow through that I had yet to be challenged. And the first year of doing mortgages was very, very intense. But I grew in the business, and I grew a lot within my personal development too. So, but yeah, that's mainly why. I got swayed that way.
Yeah. Like, oh, there's probably not as many hours in mortgage lending. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. Like, 3 months in, I wanted to call every loan officer I worked with in the past and just like thank them and apologize if I was ever like
Hmm.
unreasonable with them. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like, because we said it too when we started the home inspection company. It was like, oh yeah, because we were flippers before that, and realtors as well. So it was like, oh yeah, if we do this, then we could only work 9 to 5, and that's it. And then quickly, it's a whole business. So we're up at night, reviewing reports. And so either way, whenever you're in the real estate game, it's not a normal job, and you're not going to work normal hours. So, and it seems like every branch, like every part of it,
Yeah.
for sure.
No. And it's interesting, right? Because in order to help a client go from like wanting to buy a house to closing on their home, it's like it takes a village, right? It takes all your professionals, and every single one of them, um, it's due a lot of credit, right? From the realtor, the inspector, the lender, the attorney. Everyone does their part, and everyone's job is, you know, it's difficult in its own ways and rewarding in others. So yeah, everyone's pretty valuable.
Yeah, for sure. So I was kind of just curious. What are the qualifications to becoming a mortgage lender? Like, what do you got to do?
You know what? I think much like getting your real estate license, you have to satisfy the I think it's 22 hours of education and pass a state exam. Once you have that, you're officially licensed. Now, I think the difficult part in the lending side is just like everything else, um, the experience, right? I would say, in my opinion, I felt that when I became a realtor, the learning curve was a lot shorter on the real estate side, and I'm just talking knowledge wise, right? Um, than it is in lending. I think I was fortunate enough because I had some financial background and some real estate background that has nothing, and I'm not referring to like knowledge of the business. I'm referring as, you know, being flexible, being a salesperson, being coachable, understanding that you're being an entrepreneur. So all of that part of the mindset, I feel like I already had it. So it helped me focus on what I needed to focus to be able to pivot. But I would think, generally speaking, that the difficult part in the mortgage industry is just kind of that learning curve before you take on the responsibility of, giving someone or assessing someone advice to get a mortgage, right? When you don't know your guidelines and you're not confident on how to structure a loan, and you don't feel fully capable of being able to, dice it and slice it in different ways to make sure that there's no opportunity that goes unnoticed for a client. I feel like you shouldn't be taking on a loan, right? Versus on the real estate side, um, somebody can walk you easily through, the motions of meeting with the client and educating them and showing the homes. I'm not saying it's easy, but I feel like the learning curve is a little bit smaller, and the responsibility when you're on the lending side is so big because nobody gets paid unless you deliver on that pre-approval that you issued, right? So if you don't close on that pre-approval because you didn't cross your T's and dot your I's, the attorney doesn't get paid, the agents don't get paid, the client doesn't get a house, the seller doesn't sell their house. Like it's so much. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of people dependent on you for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I always wondered, like, I've talked to like a lot of loan officers here and there, or broker mortgage brokers, and like even in seminars, when I was like that, I was like, I wonder what it takes, because I know like with the home inspection, we have to take a 60-hour course, and then pass a state and city test on top of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure like everything that's riding on your shoulders is a lot heavier than mine. It's just, this house is okay or not
Yeah.
biased,
Yeah. I mean, again, everyone's job is important, right? But I do think that coping with that stress of knowing that you got to make sure everybody gets paid, that definitely adds a layer of pressure.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, because then you don't want those angry calls from realtors and lawyers.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a saying that's like, you're only as good as your last loan.
Mm,
You could
okay.
deliver a great experience for a realtor and close 14 amazing deals, but if the last deal was a shit show because you missed something and you didn't do your job with, accuracy, that agent might never send you business again.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. If we're late, or if you miss something, or if something gets found out afterwards, like, you have to really like do your due diligence and make sure like, COA,
Yeah.
it's very important. That's the number one rule at city home inspectors is COA, cover yourself, make sure that you're fine, make sure that you're doing it right, because, we don't need anything coming back at us for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
So what was the deciding factor to go with guaranteed rate?
Well, this is it's simple. I truly believe that in order for you to reach your goals, you have to be around people that have done what you've done in the level that you want to do it in. So guarantee rate is the home of a lot of top multi-million dollar producers, including the number one loan officer in the nation. And even here in Chicago, there's another amazing originator, a lady. She closed over like 250 million on her own last year. So when you think of like me and for myself, right? Like I would love to be able to, give Lizzie Hofer a battle for her number one place, right? One day. But it's like, how am I going to get there? Who's going to teach me? Right. And if I'm in a place where I feel like I'm capped, and not to say that the offices that I came from did not have amazing originators or originators that would do better than I do, but within my space and within my type of business, I needed to identify that loan officers that were doing the type of business I was doing in a reliable, timely, efficient manner. And guarantee rate is almost like I don't even think of guarantee rate as a mortgage company. It's like a technology company doing mortgages because they have so much support. It's insane. Um, even the mindset behind it, right? Everything needs to be quality. That's how they move. So for me, someone that aspires to me be among the top 10% of the country, which is one of the NARB's um, statements, I want to be where the best are. That's it, because that's where I'm going to learn. I don't want to be the
Right.
smartest person in the room.
Yeah, there's that Confucius saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
There you go. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
So
that's
that's a
why.
very famous one. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Very cool. So, do you want to tell us? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what were some of your major difficulties when you switched over to lending? What were some things that were like kind of hard for you at the beginning?
um, I would say, you know what? I think that one of the things that I had to learn, and this is probably in general, and maybe it was just during the phase of my life, that I'm a person that's very, very comfortable with confrontation. Not that confrontation's a bad thing, right? Like, but if you and I, Michael, we're friends, and all of a sudden, you're not replying my messages, I am that type of person that will be like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on? What happened? What did I do?" Right? Like, let's talk about it. And I noticed that not everybody's very comfortable with confrontation, right? Not everybody likes to talk about, the differences. Some people are just more comfortable walking away from situations, and that's just how they deal with things. And I think that being a loan officer requires me to have multiple relationships, and not every relationship grows or goes to the next level, right? I have a very good friend of mine who you might have interviewed, but she's always telling me, people come to your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And I think that one of the things that I had to learn was that not everyone's going to want to do business with me. And not everybody that likes me and it's my friend and wants to do business with me. And it's okay. Right. And not that I learned it in a sense of like I expected otherwise, but because I always kind of have that personality that I want to get to the bottom of things. I want to understand the why behind things. And some people won't give you that closure. Some people won't address that situation, right? Like, and not only partners, but even clients sometimes, or even peers, right? I worked in offices where like I pour myself into folks and I'm helpful and I offer advice. And then next thing you know, I realize they block me on social media. And I'm just like, what? Why? Like, I have no idea. What did I do? Like, I thought we were cool. But then I realized that, it is okay to not have closure on every angle, on every end. I think what is important is that you accept, you respect people's boundaries and that you know your value. And if you know your value and you know what you bring to the table, and if for whatever reason there's not a connection on the other end, for whatever reason, right? It's okay. And you just move on, So I think that that's one of the things that I learned the most in my field because it's a hyper connected role that I play. I talk to a lot of my agents. I'm close to a lot of them, their families, their friends, their clients. So, if you don't build that thick skin, you might find yourself really stressed out, focusing on the people that are not connecting with you versus focusing on the people that are. So,
Yeah, that's interesting because it does happen a lot
yeah.
too, where you're like, "Oh, hey, like, why'd you use that guy?" Like I was
And
just,
sometimes
we
you're just
were
like,
just
yeah, I did it.
talking,
I check mark all the boxes,
Right.
right? And I went
Mhm.
and I met with you and I did that inspection and the client loved me. Like, what happened? But then it's some
Right.
people just, they
And then yeah, then you kind of like you kind of get sour, and then you like start to realize, oh well, that was the client's uncle's choice, or or like that was a family member. That's why they went there. And you're like, if you just let your mind go off, then you can definitely like burn a bridge that you didn't know
right.
was still there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So definitely, yeah, taking that time to just be like, okay, just give it a minute, relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I kind of want to get into the next one because every time I see you at the seminars and stuff like that, you're all smiles, like you're having the best time. You're really good at speaking. Like there was that one that we did over at the Realty Chicago office where I met you. You started talking and everybody was zip and had nothing else to say. They were just focused on everything you had to say. So you're really good at that. So I kind of just I know you have a love for it. So I kind of want to know, what do you love most about being in this real estate industry?
Honestly, it's that. It's I think for me is, well, let's be real, the real estate industry is so financially rewarding, right? And actually, I was also having this conversation with somebody the other day with one of the managing brokers, and um, he was like, "Hey, Maggie, congratulations on making the top 250. Like, you deserve it. You work so hard." And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I do work really hard. But sometimes I think, and I'm like, I know a lot of people that work harder than I do. And I know a lot of people that prepare for longer than I have. And I know that I'm more well off than they are. So I am very, very, very grateful to even have the opportunity to reap the benefits of my hard labor. Because there's folks that never get to see that. They work hard their whole life and they're never able to level up. So I feel like this industry will reward your hard work. And that's what makes me so passionate and I love it so much. Because I feel that if you wake up every day and you genuinely help families, you help your peers, you help your partners, you will reap the benefits. And because I know that, just like everything else. Like, Michael, have you ever been in a situation where you like, you go to a restaurant and you love it, and then all of a sudden you're like, dude, you have to go. You're telling all your friends and family, like, you have to do it. Come, check it out, try it out. So that's what education means to me, right? Like, when I figure something out that works for me, I'm just so ecstatic to show it to my real estate professionals that are referring business to me every day, to my, my lender, my friends, my coworkers, because I just want them to taste a piece of the pie, right? Because it's awesome and there's so much for all of us. So I get a high off of it. I think that is, if I could say what's my biggest passion, is like paying it forward and hopefully being able, if I can contribute to someone's success, even if it's in a 1% level, to me, that's everything, right? Like, it's awesome because I know I'm in a good place. I could be better. There's always like room to grow, but I'm in a good place because I mean, realistically, you don't need a lot to live a good life, And I'm in a place where if I cruise on this mode right now for the rest of my life in my work field, I'm more than blessed. So yeah, I just want other people to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always love to hear stuff like that,
Mm.
and I feel like it's funny because like all the people that come onto the podcast, the ones that agree to it are some of the people that want to get these stories out there. They want to get this knowledge out there. So it's nice to see that so many people, that are willing to teach others. I mean, like I always hear, oh, I want to get into the game, but I don't know what I'm doing or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, go to a real estate office, go to Guaranteed Rate, go to the places and ask questions. If you want to do it, you got to ask somebody.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people out there that are willing to help you out and teach you something for sure.
Yeah.
So with that, I actually have one final question. This is a fun one. So besides mortgages, is there anything else you're passionate about?
Honestly, I think I'm really passionate about my family and spending time with them. I like to travel a lot, but I don't like to travel by myself. I like to travel with my friends, my family, my loved ones. Um, I love getting away, meeting new people, new cultures, new ways of thinking, trying new food.
What's
Um,
your number one destination spot? Like that you regularly go to?
I don't, you know what? I don't know that I have one, but I really, really like, for a quick getaway. Me and my family have been seeking it's our safe haven place. It's in New Buffalo, Michigan, just because it's so close. And we're actually in the process of building a home down there, a second home, just to be able to
Nice.
get away a little bit. There's access to a nice little beach. So if you guys haven't checked it out, you should. The beach is nice,
My
clean.
my fiance went a couple years ago
Did
to
she?
New Buffalo with her girlfriends. Yeah, they did a little road trip out there, and she's been telling me we gotta go to New Buffalo. We
Yeah.
gotta go, and I'm like, New Buffalo? Like, what's in New Buffalo?
Yeah, no,
You
it's like a little
So
marina town. It's cute, and there's other towns that are near it, so you can town hop a little bit. So I would say that, I mean, when I really want to get away, like, quickly, and I can't afford to take a vacation, New Buffalo is the place to go, which is why we're building a home there. So we're excited about that. So we'll invite
that's
you and your
nice.
brothers and your mom and everyone once we have it up and
All
running.
right. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll Airbnb it from you while you're here. So okay, cool. And then so any bucket list locations, places you haven't been to yet that you're just dying to go to one day?
Oh man, yes. Well, the big one for me is Thailand. And the only reason I haven't gone is probably because the trip requires me to be down there disconnected probably for a couple of weeks at least. So I haven't, because I've been working so much on my business, I haven't been able to afford to take such a long vacation. Which, that's
Yeah,
another thing.
that's
I take a lot of mini vacations. I don't think I take long vacations. People are always like, "You're always traveling." I'm like, "Yes, typically like Friday through Sunday." Like, it's never like a whole week
that's the only way.
trip.
That's the only way. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
I actually went on my first. I'm 31 years old. I went on my first adult vacation last year. well, this year, I mean, me and the fiance, we went to Vegas. It was the first time I went
Wow, that's awesome.
like out of town that without my mom
Yeah.
or or
Yeah.
family members. It was just me and her.
Yeah.
So I was now I'm like, oh, we got to do this at least twice a year.
Yeah.
You know, I want to go.
Yeah.
We have to get out of here. You know.
Yeah, and it's not as expensive as people think.
Well, we hit big like twice when we were there, so we were like, you know, we got a lot of money back just for going. So I was
That's
like,
nice.
oh, it was great.
That's awesome.
It was, and then only a weekend because that's all I could afford, you know, because like I had to come back, I had to get back to work, and then like after you're gone for 3 days, you know, you feel rejuvenated, but then again you're still tired,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
so you still have to, you need a vacation from your vacation when
Yeah.
you go to Vegas for sure.
Yeah. No, nice. I hope you get to travel even more.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Well, okay. Well, that's all the questions I had today.
Awesome.
So if you want to real quick take this time, Maggie, to tell everybody what's the best way to contact you if they would wanted to hire you for your services.
Yes, for sure. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate the space. I think it's awesome what you're doing. Hopefully,
Thank
if
you.
anybody's hearing this, they get a little bit of inspiration, right, to move forward and chase their dreams, foot-flatted and, you know, at all fours. For me, if you ever need mortgage advice, my personal direct number is 630-460-0688. Call me, text me. If I don't answer, leave me a voicemail. I will call you back. And anything you need, even if you need career advice, you know, I'm just here to, again, like I said earlier, I'm just here to pay it forward and help as many people as I can while I have the platform that I have. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Maggie, for coming out. I really do appreciate your time.
Likewise.
This is Dreams of Realty Success. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.